Thank you very much for leading me in this way. May I take this opportunity before I lose myself to appreciate and thank the organizers of this meeting. It has meant so much to many of us. And for this, I want to thank you. It will not go unnoticed. I realize I've got two surnames, Bengu and Baloyi. And I kept Baloyi, Bengu, which is my maiden name, deliberately, because in times like this, when Minister Baloyi is in trouble, you don't want to be associated with the name. So, unfortunately, my name was given long before this happened. I would have remained with Bengu, which is very safe. Before I continue, I just want to read this very poem to you ladies as a tribute to all that you've done. As a woman, as a mother, the roles that I play, as a member of the civil society, as a professional, you name it. I've met so many people, and me being one of them. And there are times you wish you would be reminded as to who you are. Because we know so much, we say so much, but when you're alone, you forget all the greatness and the good things that are said to us. And so it becomes very important that we, now and again, we get reminded as to who we are. This poem reads, "Bring me your roses now." I'm sure that all of us here would like our partners, our friends, our kids, everyone, our bosses, to appreciate who we are. Having lived in this world for so long, I've learned to appreciate how one word of appreciation would save a life. And it goes, I'd rather have one little rose, just one rose, from the garden of my friend, than to have the choicest flowers when my stay on earth must end. How often do we save the good words, the words of appreciation, saving it for the day when a person is dead, can no longer hear it? And when I go to funerals, I always wonder, who are they talking to? Who are they telling? Because I know that there are times when you survive, would have been excited to know you matter and you're doing well. And it goes on to say, I'd rather have the kindest words which may now be said to me than to be flattered when I'm gone and life has ceased to be. So when you tell them how good I was, how good a mother, a husband, a wife I was, and an employer, a worker, did you ever remember to tell me, to remind me that I'm that good? I'd rather have a loving smile from the friends I know are true than tears shed around my casket when I've bade this world adieu. Bring me all your roses today, whether pink or white or red. I'd rather have one blossom now than a truckload when I'm dead. I suppose the ladies Wendy and Lynette and many others had this in mind, in that whilst we're alive, let's stop, let's pause to look at where we're going and where we come from. I'm reminded of a story as we're moving forward. I'm the kind of person that just likes to make sure that people laugh, and that's how I survived my marriage. And I looked around this morning and I was surprised at how serious we can be. And so now and again, my husband, I'll find a trick to make him laugh a bit. But it's amazing how we've learned to be so serious. An old man was lying in a couch relaxing in an afternoon, and a young silly girl, would have thought it was me, decided to go to the to the granny who was sleeping, and took a bit of smelly fish. You know, we do have those things sometimes. People forget to clean their fridges and to discard the rotten stuff. So he took an advantage of that, and he smeared it on the grandfather's, mustache. Is it the mustache here below his nose? Whatever. And the old man woke up, and there was this funny smell, pungent smell. And he started looking around. It's very interesting that he never looked at himself. Oftentimes, when we look for solutions and people to blame, we look around and we miss ourselves. Or even people to appreciate. How often do we appreciate who we are? But who are the people that tell our kids, everybody else, how loving, how well you're doing? And so he wakes up and starts walking around the lounge and everything. And the first thing I can imagine, he called his wife and said, "What's happening here? We haven't cleaned," or something like that. And then he decided to go out and start looking around and like, where does this smell come from? And then he said, because he said, clearly this house, before he went out, he said, this house is smelling. Then he went further. When he went outside, he said, clearly, this whole world is smelling. And for me, the lesson from this is that, like I said, sometimes the solution to the problems we seek lie right below our noses. And the way we look at the world has a lot to do with what we think and how we look at the world. As a mother and a wife, I've spent a lot of time trying to change my husband, change my kids. But at some point when I realized I was not making it, I decided to change the world as well. That's why I'm here. And at some point I realized, I was going to have a heart attack, if not a stroke. And I decided to change me. And when I started looking at myself, not in a judgmental and critical way, but really saying, what is it that I can contribute in this environment? What can I give? Because I cannot give what I don't have. As much as I've seen families, people, husbands, wanting to love, and they really mean to want to love us. But if they don't have the love inside out, they cannot give. So they give us, we give each other that which is within us. And so I started saying to myself, perhaps my family needs a lot of love from me. But if I don't have, and I started on a journey. And guess what? When I started working on myself and I continue, things started to change. You said your last quote was, I can't quote it verbatim, but something that goes, if we want to change the world, perhaps we need to look inside. And then as our worldview changes, everything else around us changed. Because love is transformative. By being soft as water, I found that my kids found a mother, and they found someone that they can come and talk to. Right now I'm on a journey, having worked in a nutrition unit when I was 20, when I qualified at university. I won't tell you how old I am right now, but it's been about 2 to 3 decades that I've been working on the ground, working with women and children who are malnourished, and mothers from poor communities. I've been lucky to see those women coming in that place, feeling completely lost, having forgotten who they are, the giants, the lions that they are, lioness that they are. And the children with sores and brown hair, ginger hair all over, not because it was fashionable to have the hair that's ginger. Those that are in the health profession will know that with malnutrition, your hair changes into being ginger. That's the way I can always describe it. But I've been lucky to see how those women with love and support and empowerment, before we even talk about education, which is very important, their lives change for the better. I've seen some of the kids dying from lack of nutrition or food. And therefore, one of my dreams as I stand here, whilst we're dealing with HIV and AIDS and TB, it's important that we look at the issues of food and nutrition. As one of the authors say, one of the philosophers said, the day has come when nutritionists of today have to be the doctors. Instead of giving medicine only, we give nutrition. I believe I learned recently when the CEO for the HIV/AIDS organization, saying that the time has come when government can no longer cope with HIV and AIDS. And the one thing that I'm desiring is to make sure that at least we can have everyone access food. As President Mandela said in 1994, that by the year 2002, no family would go to bed without a meal. But if you look back at where we are today, someone mentioned the role of business in this, the lack of the competitions